everybody, today we are debating whether or not the Earth is flat, and we are starting right now. Ladies and gentlemen, thrilled to have you here for this epic debate, as this is going to be a great time, folks. We are very excited for this. And if this is your first time here, as it is Nathan Thompson's first time, and we welcome him, we also welcome you and want to let you know whether you be a glober or flat earther, Christian, atheist, Republican, Democrat, we want you to know you're welcome here as we try to be a nonpartisan channel. And so if it is your first time, consider hitting that subscribe button. There's got a lot more debates coming up that we are very excited about. In fact, we just confirmed, actually, Team Skeptic and Fight the Flat Earth are partnering up as a tag team duo, and they're actually going to take on the Flat Earth Brothers. That's going to be coming up this coming week, and so that's going to be an epic one for the ages, folks. He said they've only teamed up once before. It was up back in the day on the Non Sequitur show. So excited to have that one. And want to let you know, for today's debate, we are so thankful to have these speakers here with us today. Their links are in the description. So if you're listening and you're like, I like that. Well, you can hear plenty more where that came from, as their content is linked below in that little description box just below. See down there? And I want to let you know, if you have any questions, we will gladly gather those questions out from the live chat and then ask those during the Q&A to the speakers. So feel free to shoot them into the live chat, and with that, Praise will be starting. He will be making his case for why the Earth is a globe, and then Nathan will give his flexible opening statement, you could say, following Praise, and then we'll go right into the open discussion. So with that, I want to say thanks again, gentlemen, for being here. It's a true pleasure to have you, and Praise, the floor is yours.
Sweet, James. Before we get started, I want to thank Nathan for this opportunity to debate this topic, and you, James, for setting it up. I agreed to this debate because I was excited to put a demonstration on for the scientific accuracy of the spherical model of the Earth, or a global model. So, James, can you put that? You see that? Can you zoom in or whatever in the share?
Do you mean you would like to have, you want the screen share?
Yeah.
You bet. So I think the way it should show is that on your screen in the window, there should be on...
Oh, I got it, yeah. So one of the number one evidences for the curvature of the Earth is through we can see bridges, actual video cams of the curvature of the Earth through the bridge. I'm going to show a video of that real quick. So hopefully everyone can see this. I might have to make it bigger.
I think you might.
Would you do zoom into it?
No, I mean, I don't have zoom on here. It's just fixed focal length, but I just positioned it a little better, cleared up the focus a little better. Put it in 4K. It's a 4K video right there.
See, that's even cool there that you're not...
Does everyone see the curvature there? It's really easy, plainly seen on big bridges, especially in Florida. So there's a great example of the curvature of the Earth. Right? I mean, it's just this empirical evidence. So there's I wanted to bring that up to Nathan, see how he would address that. But here's another one. It's the ships over the horizon. And I know I don't want to get into too much of the biblical stuff, but I wanted to get into the ships over the horizon. And I want to kind of expound and get into that. So without being in the sky, it's impossible to see the curvature of the Earth. However, you can see a demonstration of this. If you're in a harbor, any other place in a wide open view of water, if you're able to watch a ship sail off the sea, watch its mast and flag as it fades off into the distance, you will notice that, in fact, it does not fade off into the distance at all. Instead, you'll see a mast and flag appear to slowly sink. The ship sail beyond the point in which you would able to be see, which you would see it. Just to be sure, bring a pair of binoculars with you so you can even see farther into the distance. It's as if you're watching to go over to the other side of the hill. This phenomenon can only be explained by a sphere-shaped planet. Another one is the lunar eclipse. Solar eclipses get all the attention, but if you're able to watch a glimpse of a lunar eclipse, you can see the evidence that the Earth is indeed round. Here's how it works. Earth passes between the moon and the sun, so the sun projects Earth's shadows onto the moon and sky. You've probably seen a lunar eclipse without even noticing it. If the moon looks orange, that's a sign of the lunar eclipse. If you ever seen a lunar eclipse, you probably noticed that the shadow did not look like a flat Earth. A round shadow cross over a round object. This does not sound like a thing that would happen if you're on a plane with all the celestial bodies simply hovering overhead. Or perhaps more asinine if the sun were orbiting the Earth and not vice versa. The last lunar eclipse took place on January 31, 2018, but it is not visible in most of the United States. So there's another one, the lunar eclipse, and here's climbing a tree. Oh yeah, this is simple stuff. Imagine a vast plain with but one tree smack in the middle. If the Earth were flat, your vision would extend exactly as far.
Praise, I don't think the screen switched over for you, bro.
Oh, okay, hold on.
I'm still looking at ships going over the horizon, and you were talking about trees.
Yeah. So they didn't. Hold on. Let me see. I had it.
Sorry to interrupt. It's just you were talking about the screen.
Yeah. Well, I think right now I couldn't find too many things with the trees, so I'm just going to keep the slide on this one for right now.
You got it.
So just imagine a plane, but with one tree smack in the middle. If the Earth were flat, your vision would extend exactly as far as while standing at the base of the tree would be the top of the tree. However, farther you climb, the farther your line of sight will extend to the horizon. That's because parts of the Earth were concealed from it by its curvature and are now revealed because its position has changed. And the naked eye can see objects that are millions of miles away in space. Theoretically, with a clear line of sight, only a clear night, one would be able to see the bright lights come far from the way cities. That is not possible as further evidence of a round, not flat Earth. What about traveling through time zones? According to a paper in Applied Optics by David K. Lynch, the curvature of the Earth becomes somewhat visible at an elevation of 35,000 feet and more easily visible at an elevation of 50,000 feet. So if you're on the right commercial flight, you might be able to see the curvature of the Earth with your own eyes. So if the event that you're not high enough, though, you can still experience the curvature of the Earth another way. For example, if you were to fly all around the world, you would find that it would be nighttime in part of the world and daytime in another part. In that way, the existence of time zones is proof that the Earth is round. And my last one would say, just watch a sunset. Pick a nice spot from where you can watch a sunset. Ideally, you'd have a clear horizon in front of you. And because you would see some sort of elevated point, you can easily access a hill or building with at least 2 floors or perhaps an aforementioned tree. We can call this point B. Watch the sunset from point A, and once the sun is out of the sight, hurry on over to point B, which with the added elevation provided by point B, you can able to see the sun above the horizon. If the earth were flat, the sun would not be visible at any elevation once it had set. Because the earth is round, the sun will come back into your line of sight. So with that, I'm just going to go with those right now, and I'll end my time there. I'm sure James.
Thank you very much. Praise for that opening statement. If you're able to switch over your screen share for me, and then we will switch back into those dialogue boxes. Awesome. Thanks so much. And very excited to have Nathan Thompson here as well, as he's going to make his opening statement. This is going to be an exciting one, folks. So glad to have you here tonight. And Nathan, the floor is all yours.
Excellent. Is my screen playing?
Yes.
This is part of my speech. I just spoke in Dallas at the International Convention. Before that, we had it in Denver. Before that, it was in North Carolina. It's called A Compelling Review of Modern and Biblical Cosmology. Now, I want to warn you, what I'm going to talk about and the content some people may find disturbing, but I don't care, because the truth is incontrovertible. Malice may attack it, ignorance may try to deride it, but in the end, there it is. I'm not asking you to believe anything I'm going to talk about, ladies and gentlemen, at all whatsoever. Hear me out. Listen to what I'm saying. Search the scriptures if you're a Christian, and do your own research and experiments, because even the Bible says, test all things and hold fast to that which is true. Now, when I think of the concept of holding fast, it's like a lion on the back of a zebra, and the zebra's still running, and the lion's trying to eat the zebra, okay? So hold fast to the truth and prove all things independently. And until then, extend belief, okay? Cosmology, the science and origin and development of the universe. Modern astronomy is dominated by the Big Bang Theory, which brings together observable astronomy and particle physics, guys. Basically, they say from nothing came everything, and the space was there for it, the materials were there for it, the energy was there for it, and all out of nothing. So that's what they'll teach you in modern cosmology. And then also what stems from that is the heliocentric model that we spin around the sun, orbit around the sun at 66,000 miles an hour. And the Earth spins 1,039 miles an hour, and that the circumference of Earth is 24,901 miles around. And this was all proven thousands of years ago with sticks and shadows. The unfortunate part about that observation is Neil deGrasse Tyson says himself, it works on both models. If you don't assume a sun 93 million miles away, then you have no proof of R, and Earth's circumference has never been proven. So do you really understand modern cosmology the way you've been taught? I can't tell you what's wrong with it. You have to see it for yourself. Now, if any of you know who I am, I go around sharing flat Earth with over 10,000 people. I also run a group of 125,000 people on Facebook called the Official Flat Earth and Globe Discussion. What I will submit is that most people don't know their own religion, okay? It is a vain religious superstition that you live on a spinning ball, and most people learned it when they were in second grade, and they forgot about it, and they don't know the facts. So what I want to go over today are the facts. Does Earth spin 1,040 miles an hour? Some people would say that yes, it does. I would say no, it doesn't. But if the Earth spins, it would have one of two effects. Either the atmosphere would rotate with the Earth, or the Earth would work as a blender and would cause the atmosphere to move separately from the Earth. Now, this is what modern science teaches, is that there is a Coriolis effect. The Earth is one reference frame. The atmosphere is a secondary reference frame. And you can go check Neil deGrasse Tyson's Twitter. He says that field goals are made because of the Coriolis effect, rotation of the Earth. Okay, so let's get into that. Right here, the atmosphere moving as one cohesive body. If anyone believes that the atmosphere moves with the spinning ball Earth, you are scientifically illiterate, because that would mean that as you go outwards, the Earth's atmosphere would have to increase in velocity. There's absolutely no force that would cause that, because according to the globe earthers, gravity is pulling all things towards center, not moving air faster and faster sideways the higher you go up in elevation. And also, that's not the property of fluid dynamics. A column of air will not move as one cohesive body as a result of moving your hand back and forth through the air or as a result of the Earth spinning 1,000 miles an hour, guys. So if I take my notebook here and I move it left to right, all the air above it is not also moving left to right. That's not how fluid dynamics work. Fluid dynamics is the study of fluid in motion. Fluid statics is the study of water at rest. It says in fluid statics, water at rest, the surface is flat and level. If you look up level in the dictionary, it means free of bends, curves, or irregularities. Synonyms are flush, plumb, straight, and flat, okay? So anyone who thinks the atmosphere is moving with a spinning ball Earth 1,040 miles an hour is scientifically illiterate and doesn't know what their religion actually preaches, because the heliocentric priest will tell you there's an atmospheric blender effect, that Earth has a Coriolis, and that the atmosphere moves separately from the Earth. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is an indisputable law of fluid dynamics. If the Earth were spinning, the atmosphere would move separately from the Earth, and I'm of the opinion it would blend the atmosphere into one homogeneous gas. We do not observe this. Nobody has ever felt or measured the rotation of the Earth. Only people who feel Earth spin are drunk. Cheers to that. Consequences of a spinning Earth and atmosphere, guys. That would mean that we would have drastic differences in journey times going east to west as opposed to west to east. Now, this is a 29-mile-an-hour crosswind, and the airplane cannot land, okay? That's 30 miles an hour. 30 miles an hour. Now, imagine a 1,000-mile-an-hour crosswind, okay? It is straight-up mind control that anyone believes they live on a spinning ball, and we do not observe this because there is no difference in journey times moving east to west compared to journey times moving west to east. Also, smoke on a moving surface behaves like a smokestack coming out of a train, but smoke on a stationary surface does not behave like the smokestack on the moving train. So, I mean, how would it move straight up if the Earth is spinning 1,000 miles an hour? Now, I've got a demonstration here. You put a rocket to the back of this, you move it 1,040 miles an hour to the right. What do you guys think is going to happen to the people, the hot air balloons, the airplane, the mountains, and all the buildings? Of course, they're going to go flying off because that is a property of fluid dynamics, okay? When something gets hit with 1,000-mile-an-hour wind, it's going to blow away, okay? Hurricanes are 100 miles an hour to 150 miles an hour. This is a demonstration of a 100-mile-an-hour wind. We do not observe this. It is mind control, okay? So why do we think that the Earth, that 1,040 miles an hour spinning Earth would have no impact on our lives? I mean, 5 miles an hour on a roundabout, it's, you know, having fun at the park. 60 miles an hour, you might lose your lunch on a graviton at the circus, but 1,040 miles an hour is just a walk in the park. And what would the oceans do on a spinning Earth? Well, they'd fly off because any ball with water on it that you spin, all that stuff flies off. Now, this is the part I want to skip, and I only really want to go over one more argument, and then I'll cover a couple things and turn it back over to James. Here we go. Could the atmosphere even exist without a physical barrier or what the Bible calls a firmament? I don't think so, because it's alleged that we have a 10 to the negative 17 torr vacuum of space that extends outward from the gradient of Earth. Now, it's second law of thermodynamics, high pressure systems move to low pressure systems. So it's like asking, can a tire rim have air pressure around it without the tire? Can a tire rim have an air pressure gradient around it without the tire? No, it cannot. Now, a tire is a closed static system. It's not a closed dynamic system, which is what all science will tell you the Earth is. The gas is inhomogeneous and anisotropic. So it's constantly moving around and different in all directions, not analogous to a car tire. But you can't have gas pressure without a container. So it doesn't matter if Earth's a closed static system or a closed dynamic system, you would have to have the rubber around the tire rim to contain the air pressure. So anyone talking about pressure gradients is scientifically illiterate unless you're a flat earther. Those are my two arguments. Real quick, Lake Pontchartrain he thought Earth curves over 7 miles. Now, first of all, we've done laser tests where one person stands on one side of the lake and 17 miles away, not 7 miles like Lake Pontchartrain. I've been to Lake Pontchartrain. I've been to Chicago, Illinois. I've been to Southern California. We've done long distance experiments in Asia. I flew to South Korea. So nobody's done more observations. From the ground, 17 miles away, you can see a mirror or a laser on the ground. So Praise is convinced that we're seeing significant amount of curvature over 7 miles, and he says that nothing else could cause this. Well, refraction is a very real thing. We live in a medium of air, and to deny that air causes light attrition, the bending of light, superior mirages, inferior mirages, you got to incorporate dust, smoke. There's lots of reasons. Angular resolution limits, all this stuff has to be accounted for. And he says the only reason you can't see boats is because the Earth's a ball. And he calls that empirical evidence to just deny that we have an atmosphere. That is ridiculous, guys. He said lunar eclipse proves we live on a spinning ball. Well, looking up at a lunar eclipse, they are glowing red and purple, not black. Every shadow I've ever seen is dark or black. So glowing red shadows do not exist. Also, selenelion eclipses. You can observe a lunar eclipse that is above the horizon when the sun is also above the horizon. Now, Earth cannot be intersecting the sun and moon if they are both above the horizon and visible to a single observer if you're on a spinning ball, okay? This is an orthographic Super Mario Vision perspective hijacking view of the Earth where, and it's not your fault, Praise, I don't think you've looked into this, but time zones, to pretend that all our ancient ancestors who were making sky maps and doing astroarchaeology and celestial navigating with the stars couldn't figure out why we had night and day? I mean, are you serious, dude? So, and then also you got curve of Earth. You said we could see the curve of Earth from Lake Pontchartrain on the ground. Then you said we could see the curve of Earth from 35,000 feet. Then you said it's more significant at 50,000 feet. But Neil deGrasse Tyson says you can't see the curve of Earth from 128,000 feet. So he said Felix Baumgartner had a fisheye lens. He's actually got a beach ball when he's on stage, and he says, you can't see the curve if you're 2 millimeters above this beach ball. So to think that the guy who went on the Red Bull space jump isn't seeing curvature, but we all saw curvature in that Lake Pontchartrain picture from the floor is the definition of insane. So nobody observes curvature from 30,000 feet. I could pull up jet fighter pilots, 128,000 feet. There's so much footage, guys. I'm actually gonna pull one up on my cell phone just to show you how much there are. Okay, real quick, I gotta go to my speech. And here we go. These are MiG airplanes. That's actually a picture I took. The MiGs are towards the bottom. Here we go, look. Look at this.
Hold on one second. I'm just gonna.
Air Force B-12 Lancer flying over Syria.
I'm just gonna quick close out your screen share and then switch back into our dialog boxes so they can see your phone. There you go.
And also we've got, guys, here, the photo inside the Red Bull jump was not a fisheye lens, and it shows a flat horizon at eye level. So, and not to mention the only thing in the background of the fisheye lens at 128,000 feet is New Mexico. So to think New Mexico is 15 or 20% of Earth's surface is insane. It's one of 50 states in the United States, isn't even the entire continent out of one of 7 continents. So you look at pictures of Earth from space, it's always 1 or 2 continents on this side of the ball, and we're supposed to believe that there's 5 or 6 other continents on the other side of that ball. I mean, this is a religion. The Psalm 2 says the kings of the earth have taken arms against the Lord and his anointed. And it also says that earth describes his qualities. So being a Christian, Praise, I think we got to do more tests. Praise did not submit one firsthand evidence that we live on a spinning globe. And I mean, I've done dozens of experiments. I've got 450 videos on my YouTube. Star trails, cold moonlight, stars don't intersect the marine horizon. We see way too far. So to think we see curvature at 7 miles, we're doing laser tests at 17 and 35 miles from the ground and the longest distance photo is 270 miles, Bardet Krenz. To think all this stuff could happen on a spinning ball is honestly an insult to human credulity. So I hope you enjoyed my introduction. I'm looking forward to the chat moving forward, and I'm going to yield the rest of my time.
You bet. Thank you very much, Nathan Thompson. And with that, we will open it up. So, Praise, convinced yet? Are you a flat earther yet, or do you have challenges for Nathan?
I have a few challenges. Is he familiar with the rocket that Mike Hughes put up in 2017 with a video camera on it, showing that the curvature of the Earth when the guy put the rocket up there, and he was actually testing the let's see here, the fluid dynamics, and it was completely debunked with the fluid dynamics. But are you familiar with that experiment? What
was the maximum altitude that he reached with his rocket?
Let me look real quick. I think it's
as I remember correctly, it was about 2 miles up, maybe. I don't even think he got that far. So if Neil deGrasse Tyson, the most famous scientist in the world, saying we're not seeing curve at 128,000 feet from a Red Bull space jump, which was launched in New Mexico. Also, if Earth's a spinning ball, he ascended for 3 hours and landed back in New Mexico. He should have landed somewhere in the Pacific Ocean, Praise. So the horizon is eye level inside the capsule at 128,000 feet. I guarantee you Mad Mike Hughes didn't go up 128,000 feet.
Yeah, it looks like reports it's even outside the atmosphere, so it'd be above 128,000 feet as far as I could tell, unless you have something else that refutes that. But I think that is pretty good empirical evidence. And I think I understand, I like your vigor for the Lord, I really respect that, but I do think that some of this stuff is convoluted, and you make it convoluted, and you're trying to escape out of the spinning ball thing. Whatever, I'm not sure what whatever you have against it, but as far as like I showed you Lake Pontchartrain, or in Florida here, that you said something about a guy standing next to someone. I don't think that refutes that. This is pretty clear.
I've been to Lake Pontchartrain. Have you been to Lake Pontchartrain?
No, I've flown over it though.
Okay, excellent. The Federal Airline Administration trains pilots on a target generation facility. They do not account for curvature or the rotation of the Earth, and they negate a gravity vector. But I've been to Lake Pontchartrain, and we did a Salton Sea test 17 miles, which is much farther than what's observed there in the pillars that you showed. And then you say that the only thing that could cause that is the curvature of Earth. And it just shows that you don't understand the atmosphere is a medium of fluid, and that fluid affects light. It causes light attrition. It causes refraction. So to think that doesn't happen, and that the only thing that could be causing that is curvature of Earth, is just a vain religious assumption by someone who hasn't tested it. Now, if we can do laser tests at 17 miles and mirror tests at 17 miles, how is Lake Pontchartrain curving at 7 miles significantly, Praise?
Yeah. I might have to look more into that, but to me, it's really hard to just refute empirical video evidence. And I don't even know if this is Lake Pontchartrain, but another thing I wanted to address is the vacuum you were talking about. First, it does not exert any force on the atmosphere at all. It does not get sucked into the air. We associate the word suck with vacuums, but that's a misnomer. So I want to make that point too. Consider an example. We pumped all the air out of some box and created a vacuum inside it. Let's say we're on the Earth and sea level. We poke a hole in the box. What will happen? So air will rush into the box and fill it.
Let me address that real quick. You just said you sucked all the air out of the vacuum, out of the thing to create the vacuum. Okay, so without the sucking, there is no vacuum. Gas pressure seeks equilibrium because of the second law of thermodynamics. High pressure systems move towards low pressure systems.
No, what's actually happening though is that the air pressure on the box is forcing the air into the space with no pressure. The air that fills the box is being pushed by the pressure into an empty space. Vacuums never suck air.
But you just said they created the vacuum by sucking out all the air. Now, I'll agree, vacuums don't suck air because high pressure systems move into low pressure systems. So it's not the vacuum sucking in the high pressure system, it's the high pressure system moving into the low pressure system, just the same way as you put your hand on a stove that's hot, the heat moves into your hand. Now, that is an indisputable law of physics in the law of thermodynamics. And to deny that with no evidence whatsoever, praise, is just, and it's, you know, it is what it is. It's a vain religion, like I said. So can you demonstrate gas pressure without a container?
Yeah, I've seen several experiments on YouTube that global theorists have shown. I just don't have the names off the top of my head, but they've shown that.
What were the
in fact, I'll get you a guy's name.
I don't need to know the name. What did they do to show gas pressure without a container? Are you talking about putting sulfur hexafluoride in a fish tank, or are you talking about putting butane in a tube? Because fish tanks and tubes are both containers, praise.
Right.
Yeah, right. You might have to look more into that too.
Yeah, so I mean, we have people doing these experiments. It's not like we're not testing.
What experiments? You just keep reiterating that there are experiments, but you haven't told us what they are. Is it the sulfur hexafluoride in a fish tank, which is a container, or is it the butane in tube, which is a container?
I believe it's the butane in a container.
Yeah, excellent, excellent. So no evidence of gas pressure without a container. It's a vain religious superstition.
So blue marble science, if they go to, I mean, there's a video right there, the guy's showing it. So, I mean, I don't know the specifics exactly, but there is scientific evidence out there. Gas pressure without a container, blue marble science. It was published.
You just said butane in the tube is a container. And so it's not a closed seal container, but it is a container. So if the gas has nothing to press against, there is no gas pressure because high pressure systems move towards low pressure systems. So to think that a butane in a tube isn't a container, or sulfur hexafluoride in a tank isn't a container, you're literally just double speaking, and you don't know the definition of the word container.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you make good, it sounds like, trying to I respect your scientific arguments, but like I said, I think that's been addressed by other people out there that really investigate this. So if you would check that out, I think that would be beneficial to you.
No, I'm familiar with those. They're not experiments, and they're not non-containers. Fish tanks, cups, bowls, they're all containers. And it specifically states in fluid statics or hydrostatics that any fluid at rest will seek its level and be flat on the surface, horizontal to the container. That's how they make glass and mirror, is they lay the glass on top of the molten metal, because the molten metal at rest is flat. It's the only way they can make flat glass with no bubbles is by laying it on molten metal. And so it floats like driftwood on a lake, because lakes are also perfect mirrors at the surface. And if you do an observation, praise, from one side of the lake to the other, you can see everything on the other side of the lake. So to think Lake Pontchartrain curves at 7 miles, and that's your evidence, when we can see 17 miles from shore to shore, you just don't understand that we live in an atmosphere, bro.
Well, I want to just be sure that Praise gets plenty of time to make his own arguments as well. And we'll give Praise, if you want to have a chance to respond, of course you can. And then we'll kind of go into some of the arguments that you have for globe Earth, Praise.
Yeah. So here's one thing I'd like to respond. The vacuum of space would not suck out all the Earth's atmosphere because gravity holds it down. Reality confirms that there is an atmosphere pressure gradient. If a dome were present, a container, then the atmospheric pressure would be the same at all altitudes, and that is not what is observed. So there's a gradient there.
Praise, you're reading that, aren't you? You're reading that, correct?
Those are my notes.
You read that. All right, cool. I'm very familiar with that. You're assuming that Earth is a closed static system, like a car tire. Now, a car tire does not have a pressure gradient, but the Earth is not a closed static system. It's a closed dynamic system. I went over this in my opening argument. The gas is inhomogeneous and anisotropic on both models, praise. Even the Glober scientists will tell you Earth's a closed dynamic system. So to argue that we have a pressure gradient when the necessary antecedent to pressure is a container, and I know there's a gradient. We live in a closed dynamic system. The sun and moon are stated in the Bible as being their own independent lights. So as I went over with the lunar eclipse, the moon is not reflecting sunlight. You have to assume that for your argument. But that's not biblical and that's not scientific, because shadows are black and the moon gives off cold light. Ken Wheeler, Mr. Magnetism, with over 200,000 subs, just did a cold moonlight experiment with a FLIR, and FLIR is infrared, picks up a heat signature. And I've done this test myself with a laser thermometer, but you can test moonlight. It's cold. Sunlight is hot, and pyrophosphorescent, and drying, and preserving. And so it's germicidal. It actually kills stuff. That's why you don't have to go out and scrub your deck in the backyard for germs, is because it's out in the sun all day.
Just to be sure that, forgive me for cutting you off, Nathan, I'm sorry about that. Just to be sure that Praise gets to kind of respond before there are too many points to keep up with.
Yeah, of course. I didn't mean to do that to you, Praise.
That's fine. Yeah, that's fine. But I think, this has been addressed in science. And here's my another question. So we have scientists out there that are Christians, and they accept a spinning globe or spinning sphere. So why would you dismiss and disregard those scientists and what their arguments? I think we have plenty of. So if you're going to go down the route of like there's a conspiracy going on with the spinning sphere model, and like we're all just buffaloed into this, but we have some of the top scientists that are Christians out there that are physicists. So my question is, why would you think that their arguments are invalid? And do you think they have addressed your arguments?
Well, the reason I think their arguments are invalid is because I read my Bible and it says, test all things and hold fast to that which is true. Now, I don't have to believe those scientists because I can test Earth myself. Now, the Bible clearly states there's birds in the church. Now, they are not for us, but against us. No, so to assume every person that says with their mouth they're a Christian is actually a Christian is very immature and naive of you as a Christian to believe that, okay? People lie. There's a lot of incentive to lie. NASA gets $50 million a day. So to assume that all these people just say they're Christian and collect $50 million a day, I mean, why would they ever do that is not wise, in my opinion. And so also, Psalm 2 says that the kings of the earth have waged war against God, and that the creation reveals his qualities. So to ask why all the people at the top would lie to us about the shape of the earth when the earth is the best evidence of him, okay? And God starts his word with creation. So if the science is twisting creation, then why wouldn't they start there, Praise?
Yeah, but people like Robert Jastrow, he's won, several awards. He's highly, accredited, and he's a regular churchgoer. He has zeal for the Lord. I just don't see him being some part of conspiracy to try to pull the wool over people's eyes.
That's called an argument from personal incredulity, Praise. It's a fallacy where you say, I just can't believe it.
No, it's an appeal to authority, though. You can appeal to authority.
I didn't say appeal to authority. Okay, it's an personal incredulity where you're saying I can't believe it. So
no, I'm not saying that. No, I'm saying that these have been addressed by Christian, well-regarded, well-renowned scientists, and they're well accredited.
Yeah, and I'm telling you, there's a massive conspiracy to hide the shape of the earth. Your Bible says you should test it yourself. Now, Praise, have you ever walked outside with a high-power zoom camera or a telescope or an infrared or a laser thermometer to record stars or distant objects yourself?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Can we see any of that?
I don't have it, ready to go at the moment, but I've taken plenty. I've taken telescopes. I've looked at the stars and stuff. Yeah, and I never see anything that contradicts a global or spherical Earth.
Well, maybe you just weren't looking for it. Did you ever aim the telescope at a distant object and not a star and try to see if the Earth has curvature and calculate for example, Praise, if you've done this, you would know the curvature formula for the Earth. So at 10 miles, how much should Earth curve?
Yeah, it's the formulas and stuff. Like, I'm not really sharp on the formulas.
It's all right, Praise. It's really easy to remember.
Hold on one sec. Well,
it's 0.666 feet.
Oh, okay, wow.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, it's 0.666 feet. So if a ball is 24,901 miles around, that would necessitate, according to AutoCAD, Pythagorean theorem, or Sagitta, that the Earth is curving at 0.666 feet per mile squared. So your answer, Praise, at 10 miles should have been the Earth curve 66.6 feet. But we do not observe this because we've done laser tests and mirror tests from shore to shore, and I assure you, we are not 66.6 feet tall.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you're applying those formulas correctly. Like I said, I think there's professionals out there
hold on
that
one
have
sec.
addressed it.
Oh, just one sec. I want to let Praise finish his point.
Yeah, so like I said, I think we have professionals out there that do all the math and stuff. We have astrophysicists that cover this, and they're Christians, and I think that they're real. There's no, I mean, I respect Nathan. I like his zeal for the Lord, like I said, but I do think he's going too far with it. But I mean, some other points I was bringing up, the sunset. I don't think you addressed that.
All right, Praise, have you ever heard of a green flash?
No.
Have you ever heard of crepuscular rays?
No.
All right, so green flash is when the sun is at eye level. It'll actually flash green on the top. How about this one, Praise? Are you familiar with the cover of the Pink Floyd album with the prism? And the light going into prism? Yeah, well, one of the songs in there says, hey, teachers, leave those kids alone. But the prism shows that if the light is coming from below, it actually shows the green colors on the bottom and the red, orange, yellow on the top. But if you invert the way the light is coming from above, the way the sun comes from above, the color spectrum inverts also. So what you'll see is a green flash on the top of the sun, and then the red, orange, yellow fading of the sun below it. Now, the reason suns get larger as they get farther away due to glare. It's well known in science that when a light appears through a dense medium, it appears larger. It's called glare. So the sunsets make perfect sense on a flat Earth. You're viewing it through a more dense medium until it leaves your perspective. Now, the reason I didn't cover sunsets, I didn't think I have to, because anything moving away from you above your head will eventually leave your perspective the same way airplanes do. I mean, if you're going to assume that we could see the sun at all times, you have to assume on a flat Earth we'd see every airplane in the sky that's within the angular resolution limit. That you'd have to, I mean, Praise, that's not what we observe. That's not science.
Yeah, but if you cast shadows, you would expect it to be even. They're not, though. When you do measure shadows across the country, so I would think that.
But I talked about that too.
Hold
because
on,
you have
one
to
second.
assume that the sun
One
is
sec.
distant.
Just want to be sure that Praise was done with that point.
Yeah. So on a flat Earth model, the shadow that'd be cast by it would be the same length, but we see that's not true. And there's even experiments out there. The Greek mathematician Eratosthenes compared the shadows in both seen in Aswan, Egypt, and Alexandria in the summer solstice, and they learned that they are not equal. So I mean, this goes back even centuries ago that we knew that we could see that the Earth is spherical. So that's another point I'd like to bring up there at the shadows.
Praise. Neil deGrasse Tyson has been on record. I have a video on my YouTube channel of him saying that works on both models. The reason it works on both models is because on a globe, you assume the sun is 93 million miles away and 1,000 times larger than the Earth. Now, I covered green flash, but I didn't cover crepuscular rays. We do not observe the sun being larger than the Earth. If you look at crepuscular rays or sun rays coming through the clouds, they all converge to one central point. Not just that, but if you look at a CGI sunset from NASA, the sunset will extend across the entire globe. We do not observe that either. It's called local light illumination. If you look at a city in the distance, the light from the city doesn't go across the entire horizon. The sun works the same way because the sun is smaller than the Earth. God said he made the sun and the moon, put it in the firmament, and it's for Earth. Now, why would he make the light for Earth bigger than the Earth? Now, this is also why we have time zones, is that the Earth is a clock and the wheel in the sky keeps on turning.
I would dispute some of those hermeneutical points, and I'd love to actually some other time debate the biblical point of this, because that's where I'm really the strongest at. I'm more amateur level with the science. I think I provided at least some arguments.
Of course. Hey, we can move to question and answer and schedule a debate for biblical cosmology.
Oh, man, that would be awesome.
If James is down.
Yeah, I mean, you seem to be firmly established in the science, so I think you probably, outdid me maybe a little bit on that stuff, but it's just me not knowing the arguments out there.
It's all good. Praise. I was a Christian before I was a flat earther, bro. So I'm going to have even better arguments with Bible stuff, too.
Oh, man, that would be awesome. I'd love to engage with you on that.
Praise. The word says that God is the truth. And in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was God, and the Word was with God. So if you and I are both seeking truth, we're going to find it. God said, you are my people, you will know the truth. So I think he's going to reveal it to you, and it might just be a public one where you end up realizing you don't live on a spinning ball publicly. But it's all right. Owen Benjamin went through it. He's still alive. He publicly thought the earth was a spinning ball. He started yelling at his audience, 3,000 people, going, why can't you guys prove we live on a spinning ball? And then he refused to debate Eric Dubay. Now he's a speaker at the Flat Earth Convention. And so here's the habit. Praise. No, once you go flat, you never go back. So I promise you, my bro, because I've tested it and you haven't, no one ever goes back from flat Earth. The only one of us that's going to convert to the truth about cosmology is you.
All right, let's go to the Q&A. I appreciate your guys' passion, your guys' confidence. You guys are, it's been a pleasure to have you so far, and I'm sure the rest will be equally.
The man.
You too, man.
We have Steven Steen, thanks for your super chat, who says, Daddy? Okay, so Steven Steen with his second super chat. Thanks for your super chat. He said, I've missed you. You left for pizza and didn't come back. Well, that's definitely not true. Thanks.
Guys, I just want you to know, James spent quite a bit of time setting this up, and I'm sure he does that with every debate. So if you love this channel the way I love this channel, support him on Patreon. Super chat your question. Super chat just to say I love what you're doing. If you don't support what you like, it will go away. So if you like having these people on here discussing everything under the sun, props to you, James. You are a great moderator, one of the best I've ever seen. Better than me in the official Flat Earth and Globe discussion. I have a lot to learn from you, dude.
I completely agree.
Nice of you. I appreciate you guys saying that. I'm sure that there are much better out there than me, but I appreciate your kind words, and we definitely are glad to have you here. And we are also glad to read this next one from Maynard Saves. They said in their super chat, thanks for that, Maynard. They said, what forces hold the flat Earth model together? And they put emphasis on the word force or forces.
Yeah, okay. Well, we are contained in a firmament, so that holds the gas pressure together. And the Bible says that God holds all things together. So to assume it's a force and not the creator, I'd like to see some evidence of the force.
Gotcha. Next up, thanks so much for your super chat. We appreciate it. This is coming from Stupid Whore Energy. Sarah, glad to see you. She says, is this the Dumb and Dumber edition of modern day debate? Oof. It's true, guys.
Ouch. Oh, my gosh. Oh, I'm so insulted. Like, I've never heard that before. You know what? So ridiculous. I've been getting insulted for 4 years. If you guys haven't figured out that flat earthers are bulletproof and insults aren't going to convince us we live on a spinning, tilted ball in cartoon space, like, you just got to realize reality, okay? Insults are not a good argument. They're not science. It's a fallacy called ad hominem. So I'd highly recommend you avoid those if you want to appear intelligent. If you don't want to be intelligent, then just throw them out there. Just insult everyone on the internet. But
I like that Stupid Whore Energy to come against Nathan. Nathan would probably rip her apart, to be honest. You know.
Next up, she has another super chat. This time asking, Nathan, can you cite a few Bible verses that say the earth is flat?
Yes, of course. Talks many times over and over about the earth is on foundation and pillars, and you don't have to read far. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. The earth was without form and void. Darkness moved over the deep, and the Spirit of God moved over the waters, not around the waters, over the waters. And it states over and over again, Earth is stationary. The foundation is on pillars. It says it's immovable. It says it will never move. Satan took Jesus up to see all kingdoms. It also says every eye will see him when he returns. So to think that he's just some all-encompassing being, when the Bible says he's a man that's coming in the sky and God is above the waters, and if you test the waters, they're flat. It's property of hydrostatics. I mean, I've been over this 1,000 times. So there's over 200 verses support a flat stationary Earth. 2 that globers will claim support a globe. God created a circle. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's a flat Earth, and that's a circle also. Pizzas are circles, coins are circles, and they're also flat. So that's not an argument for globe. And it says in Job, the Earth hangs on nothing. And that's not an argument for globe either, because the flat Earth doesn't hang on nothing. It's on foundations. My laptop is on a table right now that hangs on nothing. Does that mean this table is a ball? No. It means my table is like on pillars. Okay? So great. Thanks for the question. I appreciate the questions. Super chat, James.
Gotcha. Next up, we do have I always try to prioritize these because they're juicy. It's fun to read them. Viewer called News.Now Ohio said they would like to be set up with you, Nathan, for a debate, if you'd be up for it.
I only debated Praise because I liked him, and it's $200 an hour if anybody wants to bring me on their channel. So that's my rate. You know, I don't work for free. So.
That was a pleasure.
Gotcha. Next up, thank you for your super chat. Maynard Saves. They asked, how does an equatorial telescope work on a flat Earth? I think they're equator, like equator.
No, yeah, equatorial.
Equatorial, thank you.
Yeah, it's all good. Yeah, the sky moves, not the Earth. So the way the equatorial mountain works is it's observing a moving sky. Globers will assume it works on a moving Earth. Now, something is moving, but it's not the Earth. I went over that earlier. The Earth would either have an atmospheric blender effect or the atmosphere would move with the Earth. Neither of those work, and neither of them are what we observe. It's an indisputable law of fluid dynamics. Thanks for the question.
Gotcha. Thank you very much. And next up, Josiah Hansen. We take super chats, it's true. We take them seriously here. So you can always say whatever you want in response. They said, how much tinfoil is under Nathan's hat?
These are tinfoil free, just so you know. I said earlier ad hominems are not an argument. Earth's a spinning globe. You think I haven't heard the tinfoil thing before? Give me a break. You think we went to the moon in a bunch of tinfoil? That's a joke.
Thanks so much. Stupid Whore Energy, thanks for your other super chat. She said, have you ever seen crepuscular rays from an airplane window? They show the sun is big and far away.
I mean, I haven't observed crepuscular rays from an airplane because the airplanes I fly in are always above the clouds, and the only crepuscular rays I see are below the clouds because that's what's creating, well, not create, but you need something blocking the local light to create the angles of the rays. So if the sun was bigger than the Earth, you would have crepuscular rays coming out of each individual hole in the clouds. If the clouds were causing the crepuscular rays, they would come out of each individual hole. But the clouds are just a part of the crepuscular rays. It's not what causes. What causes it is the localized light. The only way you get crepuscular rays is if the light is local. So, not my specialty, but I will recommend check out Michael Solomon. He did a presentation, and after his presentation at Take on the World in Ohio, we did a demonstration of crepuscular rays, and it's on his YouTube channel, Michael Solomon. Dude, the only way it works is if the sun is small and localized. That's why we experience drastic variations in daytime temperatures from morning to night. That's why it gets so hot when the sun is directly above your head, because it's moving over you like a heat lamp. Now, also, fauna and flora are not analogous in the northern and southern hemispheres. So if the Earth was a tilted ball spinning around the sun, we would have no reason for Antarctica to have an average temperature of negative 50 degrees colder than the Arctic. Also, there's no reindeer, there's no trees in Antarctica. It's just penguins and ice. So they're not analogous. The reason is Antarctica is the perimeter. We don't have an Arctic treaty. We have an Antarctic treaty. All the world governments have signed it. You got to look into it. And it was right before they said we went to the moon. So
Gotcha. Thanks so much. We got another super chat from Jay Shy. Thanks for your question. They said, God isn't a science teacher. He came down to the ancients with their understanding so they could understand his message, which is not a scientific one. I think that's for you, Nathan.
That wasn't a question. All our ancient ancestors, every ancient religion accepts that it's a flat, stationary Earth. Not just that, but there is a God. The heliocentric religion is the only one that denies a God. It says that the universe was created from nothing. It's ever expanding into more nothing. All the material came from nothing, and all the energy came from nothing. All the information in our DNA came from nothing, and that is a complete joke.
Gotcha. Thanks so much for your question, Brian Stevens. Try to work through a few more of these. I know you, Nathan, you said you had to go pretty quick. Brian asked, he said, let's see. He said, Nathan, have you seen Red's Rhetoric, who has a ton of videos taken with P900 showing the curvature of the Earth, or Jeranism's failed experiments on the Flat Earth documentary?
Of course. So the Flat Earth documentary was not put together by Flat Earthers. It was put together by people who wanted to deceive you. The reason I know that is because I was in the Netflix documentary with Jaron called Behind the Curve on Netflix, and they twisted the whole story. You look, there's massive editing taking place. If you listen to Jaron's account of what happened, it was it was so hot and he left the light on or something. It fused to the camera and he was experiencing technical difficulties. And so when he said, that's interesting, he hadn't yet realized that he had some technical difficulties, but we went back and he was doing that test at 3.5 miles, guys. We've done tests at 17 and 35 miles. So to think Earth curves at 3.5 miles, but it's flat at 17 miles and 35 miles is insane. The definition of insane is the inability to perceive reality. So when those people hit me up, they said, hey, all we're doing is a look at the flat Earth community. You want to be in a film about the flat Earth community? And I said, yeah, I'll represent the community in a film. What they did was they spun it and turned it into a flat Earth debunk, which was not what they told us we were going to be involved in, because if we knew they were involved, they were going to do a flat Earth debunk, we would have asked for some type of final editing. You can't use my name, my face, my experiment in anything unless I see the final edit, because what they did is they edited it, they spun it. If you think Netflix is out to tell you the truth, you are a sheep.
Gotcha. Thanks so much. Next up, we've got a question from Brian Stevens. Thanks for your support. One of our patrons, he says, the globe Earth explains that a pendulum rotates in a predictable way due to the rotation of the Earth. How does the flat Earth explain the predictable movements?
Of course. So, again, if the Earth rotates under a pendulum, it would rotate under anything in the atmosphere, and we do not observe this. Hot air balloons, airplane traveling east to west as opposed to west to east, helicopters, smoke, insects, balls that you throw in the air. The Earth does not rotate under them. So that's an effect that's happening because of the apparatus, okay? They have motors in the top of the pendulums. I've been to museums where the pendulum, it doesn't work all the time. And so I'll tell you, yes, there is a drift, but that doesn't mean it's caused by the rotation of the Earth. Globers do what's called affirming the consequent. If P, then Q. P happens, so Q. It's a fallacy. There's no way to manipulate the cause in that experiment to prove it's actually the cause of the effect. All you do is observe the effect, and then you work backwards and say, if P, then Q. It's a fallacy, guys. It's not an experiment. There's no naturally occurring phenomenon, which is the start of an experiment. If you're going to do an experiment, you have to have a naturally occurring phenomenon, and you have to have an independent variable. So anyone calling Foucault pendulum an experiment is just scientifically illiterate. They don't understand the scientific method.
Gotcha. Thank you very much. Next up, super chat from Stupid Whore Energy, as she likes to call her sick self. She says, are you aware that airplanes sometimes fly through clouds, which means they are level with them?
Yeah, that's true. And I've never observed crepuscular rays above the clouds ever. So, I mean, I don't know anyone who's observed crepuscular rays above the clouds. I run a group of 125,000 people. I've never seen crepuscular rays above the clouds. So that's an interesting thing. You know, if it happens, I'll have to look into it, and I will withhold belief until I see the evidence. Okay.
Gotcha. Next up, thanks for, let's see. Like I said, I'm going to try to get you out of here on time, Nathan. Not too many more questions.
Excuse me, I have a few more questions,
All right,
if you
bro,
don't
I enjoy
mind.
the questions. Most of the people left the Flat Earth meetup anyways. I'm having a beer. I'm enjoying myself. Praise and James. Dude, this was all meant to happen, dude. The beginning is known from the end. So I'm not, no rush, bro. You answer all the questions. Guys, if you have any questions, super chat James right now. I will answer your question. I promise I won't get out of here until we answer every question that is super chatted to James, dude. I appreciate you having me on here.
Glad to have you. And thanks so much for your super chat question from Stupid. Let's see. We did that one. Brother John, thanks.
That happens every show, just so you know, James. I love it, dude.
Brother,
At least once, James is like, crap, I already read that super chat.
that's true. I am hanging in there. Brother John, thanks for your super chat. They said, Nathan, what evidence would change your mind?
Evidence that you could confirm and verify yourself, you know, like there is downward vertical drop tangent to your feet in all directions, or that the earth is actually spinning 1,000 miles an hour and tilted. Here's another one, Praise. If you look it up, they'll teach that it's 23.4 degrees, but every right angle every acute angle has an opposite angle to make a 90-degree angle. So 23.4 divided by or subtracted from 90 is 66.6. So the curvature of Earth is 0.66. The tilt of Earth is 66.6. And if you look up the speed of Earth around the sun, it's 66,600 miles an hour. This is stuff you can Google on the heliocentric model. So they've encrypted and hidden all their satanic math into this globe Earth lie. And those who have eyes to see it and ears to hear will recognize the truth. And those who don't will stay stuck in the matrix.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's interesting stuff. It's incredible.
Thank you so much for your super chat. Brother John, who said, would you buy a ticket on SpaceX to get tickets? Or to get pics, sorry.
Buy a ticket on SpaceX, dude. You know, that's funny. When that's available, guys, you go ahead, do a little charity event, get together the money, and it doesn't exist. Commercial air travel doesn't exist. And we allegedly landed on the moon and drove around in a buggy and played golf 50 years ago, guys. So to think that we can't send citizens to space yet when they landed on the moon with a buggy and played golf is so ridiculous, bro. I mean, technology advances, it doesn't go backwards, period. So nobody besides 0.00067% of people has been to Earth. It's about 500 astronauts that will tell you, and they all have a huge incentive to lie, you know? So, I mean, that doesn't exist. That's just a ridiculous super chat. People don't know what's going on.
Gotcha. Thanks so much. Next up, Stupid Or Energy, thanks again. She says, when are you going to film the ice walls?
Oh my gosh, Google the ice wall. There's thousands of pictures of the ice wall. And and the ice wall doesn't prove that we live on a spinning ball or a flat earth, because you can have ice walls on a globe and you can have ice walls on a flat earth too. So it's a moot point.
Gotcha. Thanks so much. Next up, NZ Pure. Thanks for your question. They said, in regards to the flat earth perspective, ask Nathan why I can't ever see Australia, I think they're saying, 2,000 kilometers away, but I can see the moon, which is supposedly over 4,000 kilometers away, much further.
Supposedly, because the ground rises to eye level and angular resolution limits, guys. I mean, of course, you can't see a sliver of land 2,000 miles away, but a light above your head with zero obstruction it's not, they're not analogous. You're not comparing the same thing. So we see this moon because it's above our heads. We can't see Australia because it's lateral to us. and has passed the angular resolution limit. I mean, our eyes can't see forever, and even telescopes and P900s and P1000s and infrared, anything optical observes the laws of perspective. So eventually something gets far enough away, you can't see it. That's why we can't see Australia.
Gotcha. Thank you very much. Next up, have a question from Todd L. Thanks for yours. He says, for Nathan, can you explain how the southern stars rotate in the opposite direction than the ones in the northern hemisphere?
Yeah, that's not actual, that's apparent. So same way with the curvature of Earth, not actual, apparent. There's other things going on. So you got to look more into it. Star trails, guys, make perfect concentric circles around Polaris, which means pole star, stationary above the Earth. They've been using it to celestial navigate for hundreds of years. You look at an astrolabe, the sky is a map. So any glober who strawmans the flat Earth saying, where's your map? You just need to look up at the sky. Constellations don't change. Polaris is stationary. Star trails on a spinning, tilted ball blasting through space, following a sun moving 500,000 miles an hour, should look like an Etch-a-Sketch on crack. And that's not what we observe.
You bet. Thanks for that. And also, thanks for your super chat from Andrew Stoll. He said, why are you unable to see the North Star below the equator?
Same reason that we have sunsets, guys. Anything moving away from you, or if you move away from it laterally, will approach the horizon until you can't see it anymore. So the reason that you can't see the northern pole star from all areas of the Earth is because it's too far away and your eyes obey the laws of perspective.
Gotcha. Next up, some people are saying, where is Praise? Did Praise leave?
I'm just like listening to all this.
Next up, NIFB Javier Ramos. Thanks for your question. He said, for Nathan, how does a flat Earth exist when there's live footage here on YouTube that shows a round Earth?
Test all things and hold fast to that which is true, dude. You're just believing you live on a spinning ball. If the Earth was actually a spinning ball, it wouldn't need to censor flat earthers, and they've came out openly and said they're censoring things like vaccines and the moon landing and flat Earth. So if you need to put a muzzle on anyone, pay attention, okay? There's something going on there.
Gotcha. Thank you very much for your super chat. Jay Shy, they said, Nathan, go to Felixstown, England. Look out in the water at the Gallopers Windmill Farm. It is completely almost under the horizon. Hop on a ferry and watch it slowly come up closer as you get closer.
Yeah, guys, as you move away from things, you can't observe them, and they disappear bottom first. But on a flat Earth, I don't know if globers expect things to disappear horizontally or top down, but this is how you can observe this very easily. The atmosphere has aqueous particles in it, and we all know water acts like magnifier. So the more air you're looking through, it's magnifying the object in the distance, and of course you can't see the bottom of it. Not to mention, any large body of water is going to have some type of topography. So there's smaller objects in the foreground can make larger objects in the background disappear, but that's not curvature, that's just perspective.
Gotcha. Thanks so much for your super chat from Stupid Whore Energy. She says, Nathan, give us some more biblical proofs of a flat Earth plox. I think she meant please there instead of plox.
Yeah, it's all good. Sun, moon, stars are locked in the firmament. They're for signs and seasons. It also states that in Joshua, he stopped the sun and the moon. Now, if that happened because of the Earth's rotation being halted, then that would mean that everyone at the equator was thrown laterally 1,000 miles an hour. Now, that wouldn't be very beneficial for the Jewish people who were trying to escape the army if they were thrown laterally 1,000 miles an hour, because everybody would die. So there's lots of proof biblically. I know you got emails saying we don't want to go over that, but there's over 200 scriptures supporting a flat stationary Earth. Anyone who emails me, I'll send you every single verse. FlatEarthFlyers@gmail.com. There we go.
Gotcha. Thanks for your super chat, Andrew Stoll, who says, do you have photos of the North Star setting like the sun?
I mean, photos, the only reason the North Star doesn't move. It's stationary pole star. So the reason the sun sets is because it's moving away from you. But the pole star never moves away from you. The only way you observe it below the horizon is if you move laterally on the flat Earth below the equator.
Gotcha. Thanks so much. Next up, question from the real non sequitur as they go by. I'm always curious about who that is, but what's the joke? People call you Natalie. Do you have a sister named Natalie or something?
No, dude. I had a VIP dinner I had to attend, and there was a Glober who harasses me once a week and calls me a retard and a moron and calls me an idiot, who wanted to interview me, and I didn't have time for him because I had a VIP dinner with a table full of people that were sitting at a table with my name on it, and I'm supposed to go talk to this Glober that calls me an idiot and a moron? No. I was there for my family that respects me. I always say, don't go where you're celebrated, not tolerated. And so I had no obligation to talk to him. I walked away, and so all of them act like I'm scared and call me a girl and call me Natalie and this and that. But it's just Globers with no proof that are obsessed with me. It happens every day.
Gotcha. You got it. So sorry, I got distracted. They asked. They said the Bible describes the earth as a round square, round with 4 corners. Show me the round square, please, and can you give me evidence for this, please?
Well, you just jumped from 4 corners to square. How can something be square and round? That makes no sense. So the 4 corners could easily be the center of the earth with the 4 rivers running outward, creating if you cut a pizza once laterally across and then you cut it again perpendicular to the cut you just make, there would be 4 corners in the center. So I think you're assuming that the corners at the ends of the earth, I'm not sure, but a circle, guys, coins are circles, pizzas are circles, they're also flat. None of that is evidence of a globe.
Gotcha. Since there are so many questions, feel free, Praise, if you want to ask, or I should say, kind of jump in and give pushback. You can. It's been a little. I haven't heard from you for a while.
He's just going on. So I think there's a lot for me to get exposed on this, but yeah, I'd like to push back on Nate in some biblical topics, but this is more of a scientific debate. But hopefully,
let's reschedule that, James, and do strictly scripture at one time, because it sounds like a lot of people are interested in it, and if they're not, then they don't show.
I'm open to it. I can open my mind. I have basically. Oh, okay, gotcha. So we have a super chat from Andrew Stoll who said, "How do you go below the equator on a flat Earth?"
That's easy. You move laterally away from the center or north. You just travel south, guys. So that's how you move past the equator. If you look at the sun's path, it moves around polar center, and its path is expanding and contracting annually between the Tropic of Cancer and the Tropic of Capricorn. Sun Analemma is not a perfect 8. It's lopsided. So the loop.
I think we might have. Let me check on. Oh, are you? I think we might have lost Nathan. Let's see. You're frozen, Nathan. If you can hear us, I can't hear you, and your picture's frozen. Let's see. Nathan, are you there? Did they get you, Nathan? That was a joke. Come on, people. I'm just kidding. I'm not trying to make fun of flat earthers. Let's see. We appreciate you being here, whether you're a flat earther, whether you are a glober, whether you are a Christian atheist. Thanks for hanging out with us tonight. Hopefully we get... Ooh, I think we might have lost... Oh, yeah, we lost Nathan. Hopefully you get Nathan back. Let's see here. But, let's see. Well, we...
there he is.
Oh, good. We got you back.
Yeah.
Awesome. Is
Guys, sorry. They turned off the internet on my laptop, so I'm on the internet on my phone.
okay.
And so I didn't want to. I got 6% on my phone, James. So
Okay.
let's blast through these.
Gotcha. We will try to squeeze in maybe like one or two more. Let's see. Thanks for your patience. We've got one from Monk Mayfair. Thanks for your question. They said, how does Nathan know the difference between the circuits from the 60s and modern microcircuits? Did we lose you again?
He's still there. I don't think his audio is working though.
Nathan? Okay. Well, we will do this last question for praise because I think Nathan's his phone his phone is, I think his battery is running low. But
Nice.
we do have one for you, praise. Stupid Whore Energy, thanks for your super chat. She said, praise, why would an omniscient God reveal that the earth is flat if it isn't?
And I agree. And I think that I have biblical arguments I could have showed if this was more of a theological debate. But I still, I think Nate had some very in-depth arguments. But I do think I had substantial arguments I provided scientifically. And I'm going to keep looking into that. But I think Stupid Horror Energy is right. I think that the biblical model actually shows, and I was going to show this, the Earth has curvature and spins, and I was going to show that, but we'll save that for another time. I'm looking forward to that with Nathan because I'm sure he has some arguments that he can provide there. So,
Gotcha. I think we have Nathan back. Can you hear me, Nathan?
I had to go inside and charge my phone, and they're playing music. I don't want you to get a copyright strike, so I have my phone tucked in my jacket. I'm trying to hide the music going on in the background, bro.
Gotcha. I appreciate it. We've got like maybe one or two questions that were for you, Nathan. So we can actually wrap up pretty quick here.
Cool.
They let's see. No bod here. Thank you for your super chat. I'm not sure who this is more of an insult to. Basically, they said, is praise Nathan's straw man?
No, that doesn't make any sense, dude. Hey, praise, I just want you to know, bro, if you realize the truth about where we live, people will attack you. But
oh, yeah. But that's why I laugh at it, because I actually have a lot of respect for you, the scientific knowledge you have, and people should respect that. And I think that you earn that. But I still think I'd like to test my theological arguments against yours.
Yeah, let's do the scripture debate, dude. As soon as we're done with the questions, we'll schedule it with James, dude. Thank you to everyone who super chats. And guys, go become a Patreon, dude, for $5 or $10 or even $1. Because James does a lot of work behind the scenes, not just being on the show. Guys, we got to support channels like this that do a good job, dude. So
that's nice of you. Appreciate it, Nathan. We appreciate everybody being here, whether you're a patron or not. Our goal is to always have it be a nonpartisan channel. So we always want to never have a follow-up video where we, blast
yeah, dude,
one side.
You might be the best moderator I've ever seen, bro, and I've seen hundreds of moderators, dude. You're really good, James. So we got to keep this going, dude. So, even people who watch, if you're just watching, thumbs up the show, dude. That's all. If that's all you can do, that's cool. So, thanks
for that support, and we appreciate it. Especially, we know that you're kind of at a remote location. Kind of, if you have just tuned in, Nathan Thompson, his connection has been going in and out. He's connecting with us while he's traveling. He's in Dallas, and basically just a local fast food spot.
No, I'm at Fayetteville, Arkansas. I was in Dallas a couple weeks ago. So keep it moving, dude. It's hard to hit a moving target.
Gotcha. You bet. So thanks so much for being here, folks. And Nathan's right. A thumbs up definitely helps the channel. We're excited. We want to give everybody a shot to make their case, and we want to do it as fair as possible. And so thanks for being here, everybody. We will wrap it up, but just want to say thanks again to our speakers. They are both linked in the description, folks. So if you've enjoyed what you've heard, we appreciate these guys being here and want to let you know that their links are right down there or conveniently located for you to hear more if you'd like. So thanks again, guys, for being here.
Likewise, James. Thank you, Nathan. It was a pleasure having a discussion with you.
Of course. I always say sharing is caring, dude. If you don't share, you don't really care. And the Bible says, you know, it's better to give than to receive. And if all you have is the truth or all you have is information, we should be giving that, you know. So store treasure in heaven, ladies and gentlemen. That's where it counts.
Amen.
Thanks, guys, for being here. And with that, thanks, folks, for being here. Thanks for asking your questions and just hanging out at Modern Day Debate. Always gets me in a good mood. Love being with you guys. And keep sifting out the reasonable from the unreasonable.
Remember, the Force will be with you, always.
Hey, everyone. Thanks a ton for watching. I hope you enjoyed the debate and the information presented. If you did, please like and subscribe. And also head over to Modern Day Debate and become a sub. He's hosting a live debate with Team Septic and I next week in Dallas. I'm looking forward to it. Should be good. Thanks to everyone who supports my activism. I love you guys. I'll see y'all next video. Peace out.